Sorry, I had to start a new video. Now I'm at the top of page 231. It says mixed numbers. To multiply mixed numbers, first write them as improper fractions. So I'm back to my postcard at the top of page 230. It told us that the length is 5.5 inches. The width is 3 3/4. So the first thing I have to do is I have to change these into improper fractions. 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11 halves. And then my width is 4 times 3, 12, plus 3 is 15 over 4. And I also know that the area is equal to the length times the width. So I'm just going to plug these numbers in, 11 halves times 15 fourths, okay? And I'm going to multiply straight across, my numerator to my numerator, my denominator to my denominator. I don't know what 11 times 15 is without doing the work. I think it's 125. And then 2 times 4 is 8. Well, I multiplied wrong. Hold on. 1, 5 times 11. Yeah, that doesn't even make any sense. 5, 1, 0, 5, 1. Say 165. 165 divided by 8. See, if it doesn't look right, you need to go back and check. 165 divided by 8. I'm going to do the division that goes with that. 8 goes into 16 2 times. 8 will not go into 5, so I'm going to have to add a 0 and bring it down. 8 goes into 50 6 times. $20 and 5/8. How did I mess that up? Oh, because I went too far. Good grief. This is a disaster. I'm supposed to know what I'm doing. 8 goes into 165 20 times with 5/8 left over. Gosh. Okay. And I'm sure you have no confidence in my teaching at this point, but this is the right answer. You can study the area better. Oh my goodness. Here's something that you guys have got to pay attention to, okay? In this box on page 231, right here, okay, it's very important because if you change to a mixed number and you don't pay attention to this, you're gonna get the wrong answer, okay? When we've got negative signs, it makes it different, okay? It says, be careful when you write a negative mixed number as an improper fraction. For instance, you still see me over here, -4 and 5/6 is -4 times 6, 6 times -4, plus -5, because this, if you remember, is 4 plus -5/6, right? Remember when we broke those problems up, when we were trying to add and subtract? Both of these things are negative, so you have to add the negative number. Please, please, please pay attention to that, or you're going to miss all these problems that have that, okay? Very, very important. So that was example 2. Let me work a few more. Let's see, 5/12 times 15. How do I write this as a fraction? I can just put it over 1. I can multiply straight across and I get 75 over 12. I know that 12 goes into 75 6 times. 6 with 3/12 left over, which is 6 1/4. Okay, the other way that you can do this to make your multiplication a little less taxing, times 15 over 1, is you can factor out a 3, divide both of these things by 3. divided by 3, and you get 5 times 5 over 1, and then this factors down to 4, which gives you 25 over 4, which when I do my division, I still get 6 1/4, okay? That might be the easier way for you guys to do that. There's that one. Let's look at one more. Let's do one where that rule comes into play. 2 1/3 times -3/4. So in order to multiply these, I have to change this into an improper fraction. So I'm going to go with that rule in the middle of 231. 3 times -2 is -6. -6 plus -1 over 3, which gives me -7 over 3. Okay, so I'm going to move over here. -7/3 times -3/4. Don't want to get out of the frame here. 7 times 3 is 21, and I'm a negative times a negative over 12, so it's all positive, and this gets me 1 9/12 or 1 3/4. Pray that that's correct. Yes, so I did it correctly. The correct answer is 1 3/4. If I hadn't done this right, then my answer would be wrong. So make sure and pay attention to that. Okay, so we're ready now for example 3, and it says evaluating a variable expression. Evaluate x squared y when x equals -4/5 and y is equal to 2/3. Okay, so I am going to set this up. -4/5 times -4/5 times 2/3. Okay, and I'm going to multiply straight across my numerators, straight across my denominators. And I've got a negative, and a positive. So I know my answer is going to be positive because a negative times a negative is positive times another positive. So my next step will be -4 times -4 times 2 over 5 times 5 times 3. Okay. Does everybody see that? I just pulled my numerators down. I'm pulling my denominators down. And I get -4 times -4 is +16 times 2 is 32. And 5 times 5 is 25 times 3 is 75. Can this be simplified any? It cannot. Okay, it's in simplest form just like it is. So when I'm multiplying 2 or 3 fractions, you just multiply straight across. Please remember to watch your signs. Show me every step. I need to go back and make sure you guys are doing well on that. I'm going to work another one of these. Give me just a second. Okay, these 3 problems are found at the bottom of page 231 under your turn now. It says x equals -3/4 and y is 5/6, and it says to evaluate the expression for these problems. This first one, I'm going to substitute the -3/4 for my x, and then I'm going to multiply straight across. So I'll have 1 times -3 over 2 times 4. My answer is going to be negative because I've got a negative times a positive, and so it's going to stay negative. -3/8. Okay. On this one, this number 2 says x times y, so I'm going to have -3/4 times 5/6. All right, again, multiply straight across numerators, straight across denominators. -3 times 5 divided by 4 times 6. That gets me negative 15 over 24. Is this simplified? It is not. I can actually reduce this by 3. I'm going to divide both of them by 3. And that's going to get me negative 5 over 8. Negative 5/8. If you go back and look at this step right here, I can actually divide that 3 out right here. When I divide this by 3, I get a 2. Okay? And that leads to negative 5 over 4 times 2, which is 8. So if you can cut this out by factoring out, by taking out a factor, you would already have it simplified at this point right here. As long as you get the simplified answer, either way is fine with me. All right, and then the last one is x times y squared. So I'm going to have negative 3/4 times 5/6 times another 5/6. Okay, multiply straight across. Negative 3 times 5 times 5 divided by 4 times 6 times 6. 5 times 5 is 25 times 3 gets me negative 75. And then 24 times 6 is 144. Okay. And I'm going to take out the 3 again because I could have taken it out here. Divide this by 3 and this by 3. And I get negative 25 over 48. All right, guys, if you got any questions, watch the video again and watch my tutorials.